is this statistic right here called the total new patients. Total new patients. So we're going to pay a lot of attention to total new patients. Now, one thing about statistics is you always want to know what industry standards are. A stat really doesn't mean anything if you don't know what is normal, what's considered normal. So you want to know what industry standards are. So we'll go over that here shortly. But we're going to have our total new patients, and then we're going to have our referrals, reactivations. Now this here is called an inactive office activation. But what happens here is we're going to list all the main sources of new patients. So if one of these is not a common source for you, remember this is on a digital sheet, so all we're going to do is just, if you don't do any flyer inserts, just erase it out and put in some of the things that you do. But many of the reasons we want to keep this is, number one, with marketing, you always want to know what's working. So we have to know in great detail how every patient got into that office, because we need to know what's working so we can do more of it. We need to know what's not working so we can either clean it up and do it better or stop doing it. But we have to keep detailed information of where every patient came from so we can interpret that and therefore make a proper calculation on where to direct our business, where to direct our time and money. So let's go into some of these common ones. These are some common ones I put in. By the way, this here called an in-office activation, that's a process that I use where I show chiropractors how to get the friends and family members that come in with visits, how to get them as patients. I'd say easily 20 to 30% of your regular patients come into an office with your patients. And well, those are possible new patients. And the worst thing you could do is just leave them sitting there in the waiting room. So I teach, a system on how to. It's a system. There's definite steps you have to take, and there's definite things you don't want to do on how to get those people as new patients. That's a very common new source of new patients when you know how to do that. That's called an in-office activation. Then there's the CA referrals. We want to keep track of the different CAs and their referral sources, and of course they get bonused, and they get trained and bonused for that. How many is the doctor personally responsible for? The patient referrals. So we're just kind of dividing up the total category. We're breaking up the total as much as possible to see what is working, what's not, whose is working, all that stuff. BNI's Business Network International, I found it to be a very good source, especially if you're new in practice. It beats the Chamber of Commerce and Rotary Club. I don't suggest you do any of that. But BNI is a very proactive referral source. So I do suggest BNI for people definitely who are starting or trying to grow their practice. Attorney referrals, same with which attorney, not just total, but the individual. Same with Google here. Remember, there's three types of internet marketing. There's Google Maps, there's Google pay-per-click, and then there's Google organic search. And so you cannot just accept somebody say, "Oh, I found you on the internet," for two reasons. Number one, you don't know which one. Number two is many times they'll go to the internet just to find your name when they were referred. They don't know your phone number, so they go to the internet to find your phone number. And so that's why it's important that they're integrated, and that's why it's also important that the doctor do it. They fill it out on the paperwork, but it's important that the doctor make sure he understands as part of the initial consultation where that patient come from. So the office website, if there's anything else you're doing with the web, other web, yellow pages, newspaper, so you can see here, it's just the different lists, doctor, lecture, screening, walk-in, other. So again, this is a digital sheet that you'll get. So, if you're not doing any lectures and you're doing something else, then just go ahead and put in what you're doing there and take that out. But you have got every single new patient has to be accounted for in their source with unbelievable high accountability.